Good evening and welcome to D Infinity Live, volume number 10, featuring Tiffany Franzoni from Roll2Play Games. My name, of course, is Robert Groover, and you are watching the multi-platform, multi-developer show that will amuse and entertain you and inform you. I'm glad to welcome to the show tonight Michael Varhola. Good evening, Mike.
Evening.
Also, we'd like to welcome Richard Balsley. Good evening, Richard.
Hiya.
And last but not least, of course, we have William Thrasher. Good evening, Will.
Hey, just wanted to give a shout out to my cousin Mary. She is reprising her role as Catherine Pinewood on Parks and Recreations tonight. So after you've watched D Infinity Live, go onto Hulu and watch Parks and Recreation.
Parks and Recreation is one of my favorite shows. I love that show, so I'll make sure and catch it. We hope that everyone out there will catch the show as well. Also, make sure to check out our website at d-infinity.net. There are quite a few articles that we have up this week. Mike, tell us a little bit about what's been posted this week and what our viewers can come to expect.
Well, Derek Holland is one of our main game developers. He develops for D Infinity Magazine and for Skirmisher Publishing, and he's got a whole suite of articles up. He's a prolific writer anyway, but he started a new series on spell synergies, how you can take two different spells and combine them together and get a new effect. And it's actually pretty, it's not as cheesy as it sounds. It's pretty compelling. So he's done a whole series on that. Richard Balsley, our co-host, has got at least one or two more Anatomy of Game Design pieces up this week. And I always get a piece up, a couple times a week. So I've got another item up there. So good stuff. There's new content up there. We're probably getting at least 10 or 15 pieces of content, article-length content up there every week. So people ought to need to take a look at that. And it's all free.
Yeah, it's great. I have a great article that I wrote last week after our show about what our viewers of The Infinity Live can do to help us. And really the main core, the main thrust is we want, if you like the show, share it with your friends. Simple as that. There you can use the YouTube share, you can share the d-infinity.net page, you can do that. That's what we're looking for. Talk about it on Facebook, talk about it on Twitter, talk about it on Google+. All of us have
an article so that it shares the link to Facebook?
Yeah, exactly. So make sure to check out d-infinity.net. You can find out all kinds of great things about how to support the show and great gaming information for you. So let's go ahead and move on. We have a guest tonight I'd like to welcome from Coppell, Texas. I'd like to welcome Tiffany Franzoni. Tiffany, good evening, ma'am. Oh, Tiffany, you're muted right now. Why don't you click the unmute button, the microphone. Live television, you gotta love it.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. Welcome to the show,
Hello,
Tiffany.
everyone. Sorry about that. This is the first time I've done a podcast like this.
Well, I did it twice on last week's show, so don't feel bad. It happens. Welcome, Tiffany. We're glad to have you on the show. You are the owner of Roll2Play Games. Roll2Play Games originally started out as like a convention business, right? Is that correct?
That is correct.
And now you have a brick-and-mortar store in Coppell, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas, right?
That is correct. It's nestled in. It's Yuppieville.
Right on.
And that is exactly why I chose that location, because the gamers are going to find me. I am catering to the mainstream folks because the gaming world is awesome. We have a whole world to show everybody. Let's bring some fresh blood into it. So I'm already seeing it happen. I love seeing the hardcore gamers bring in the soccer moms, the kids from karate class, the dads that are dropping off their Boy Scouts into a gaming session. It's happening at the store. It's so cool, you guys. I'm really enjoying it.
Awesome.
You know, we've been friends for a couple of years now, and it is great to have you on the show. One of the things that I've noticed from your postings and from when we talk in person and on social media is that you've built a community around your store. Tell us a little bit about what you've done towards that end, and how you continue that.
You know, it's funny. It's not hard to do. You have to do little things like instill everyone being respectful for each other, no matter race, sexuality, skin color, blood type. It doesn't matter. And also not using cuss words. And I know that sounds really silly, but in a public retail space, using no cuss words gives that feeling of a safe environment. I also, when people are playing a game and they're getting kind of intense, you know how us gamers can get, we're like getting a little cutthroat. I step in and I remind people, are you having fun? Because that's the whole point of playing this game. This is a fun thing. And people, like, they straighten up and they relax and they're like, you're right, you're right, you're right. And that you're doing those little things is what's building the community. It's not me doing that. It's everybody else doing it to help me get to that point of growing it. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, you know, that's something we've talked about before in dealing with Skirmisher. You know, the marketing plan that you guys have built over 10+ years now of Skirmisher has been towards, you know, talking to gamers and seeing them and talking to them at conventions and online. How have we built the community up over, say, the last year or two with our websites, and is that parallel to what Tiffany has done?
Yeah, in some ways, I think one parallel is that we try to be real face-to-face. We do go out to the conventions, and when we're at the convention, I like to work a contact list. You know, I like to say to people, oh, you're looking at this book of ours and you can't afford to buy it now? Well, you know, let's stay in touch. You might want to pick it up later. Or you have bought this book. Well, you know, we support our products really heavily. Let us give us a chance to tell you how we're going to be supporting this book that you just bought, because we have lots and lots of bonus content. So I think that for us, it's the one-on-one interaction. So it's more like we're one of the people that would be coming to Tiffany's store and interacting with the other people, more than the people who are you know, running the store itself per se. In that sense, that would be the parallel: the one-on-one interaction and the desire to maintain continued contact. We've got a mailing list of 30,000 people that we've built painstakingly over the last 10.5 years. So, you know, I have a personal connection with an awful lot of the names on that list.
And you know, there's one thing that I guess is really important when you have a brick and mortar store, and I know I've heard a couple of comments about the echo. I apologize, I don't have a way to troubleshoot it right now. Hopefully it won't be too bad. But one of the things that you have when you have a brick and mortar store is staff and things like that. Richard had a question for you, Tiffany, about that.
Yeah, I was looking at the website, and you know, I think it's really interesting you have someone who's an educator and that you have classes in your store, which is something I've actually never seen in terms of like classes, actual classes. I mean, I've seen people set up things like the store set up, come learn how to play this game. So I was curious about what kind of stuff you guys have.
And that's the key. That's the key. Is if you don't have a staff that is willing to sit down and teach people how to play the game, how are people supposed to know how engaging that game is? Or how can they learn the game quickly enough that they're not going to lose interest and get excited, fall in love with that game, and want to share that with their friends and network it all out? I want to go back to something that Michael talked about, you being the person to come in and talk about like Skirmisher at a store retail space. That is critical. I don't know if you guys are aware, but I do a lot of Kickstarter supporting, a lot. And I have one with my own personal profile and one with my Roll2Play profile. One of the Kickstarters I supported, yes, I supported Skirmisher, but I also supported Tefra. And I was one of the biggest backers for them, and they're coming out on Saturday, the crew, to demo the game. I have close to 30 people that are wanting to come to the store to learn this game. I have sold out, and I've already had to reorder books for Tefra. So it's that willingness to sit down, open your table space, sit people down and say, here is the game. Let me show you this game. Let me show you what's going on. Not look at a person coming into your store like a big dollar sign. That's defeating the purpose. I don't care if people shop at my store or not. I really don't. Do they love my store? Do they feel comfortable? Do they brag about my store when they leave the space and go, I had the best time ever. This game was really, really awesome. I want that enthusiasm when people come and leave my store. That's key to me. And
we
I
had
think
Daniel
you touched a little
Barrow
bit
on
on
our
that.
first show. We had Daniel Barrow on our first show here on D Infinity Live, and he was a great guest, and I'm a big fan of Tefra. I've enjoyed that a lot. Will, coming from retail space, is there what are some of the things that owners, that game designers, that publishers can do to get in these stores, to get into these places, and add yourself to them?
Networking.
Yeah,
Networking. Don't be shy. Networking. I mean, really. We had a local guy that created a game called Blankety Blank, and he never even came up with the company name. This is his thing. He walked up into our store one Saturday day, and started demoing his game. I bought 20 right there. I've got 2 left. So it's that kind of thing. Infinitum is another game, exactly the same thing. Carrollton Group, which is like 10 miles away from my store. It's amazing of what you have within your Metroplex area. That's another reason why I love living in DFW area. You have access to so many game developers, big business, game manufacturers. We've got all kinds of stuff at our fingertips that we can help grow and network with each other. You also have to set aside your pride. You can't have pride. And the reason why I say that is you have to be able to work together to grow the gaming industry. It's not about me, it's not about you, but it's about what we can offer to build things together. I've had to learn to really, no pride.
Not enough of that in this industry. I think you make a really good point, and that you really do get too many companies that don't understand that we're stronger together than we are separately.
Exactly.
Actually, something that I really appreciate, just telling from just the sound of your voice, is that you're very positive about running your store and having people in there and having lots of stuff happening. I have been trying desperately to build more of a local game community where I'm living in Frankfort, Kentucky, and we have one comic/game shop, and the guy who runs it is one of the most negative people I've ever met.
Right.
That's so hard to conquer. I know.
I know.
I'm so sorry, William.
I mean, and I've tried after on every angle. I've tried being really polite. I've tried pointing out how having me in there running demos is going to help him move more gaming product. Get more people in the store, and all he's saying is, yeah, whatever. Just don't be here at 11 when I open, because I hate it when people are in the store when I open.
Jeez, that's not what you're supposed to say. You heard that line at the beginning. Oh no. That's a serious obstacle, and that's a shame, and it's one of those things you kind of have to prove it to him, but you also might have the realization that you're going to have to work around that.
Oh yeah.
Maybe when you schedule your gaming events, not at open. Work with his habits. Sometimes you can't change people. So what do you look at your cards? What cards do you have in your hand? How are you going to play it? What are you going to do next? Work with what you got.
Yep.
And
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Tiffany, what do y'all have going on at Roll2Play in the coming weeks and months? I know you're going to be at some conventions. You also have like a chess class and some other things. Maybe you can tell us about what y'all are doing.
God, I can't keep up. I just hired a guy to help me out because my website alone with inventory is over 3 months behind. And we have so much going on. Yes, we have chess classes with Igor every Wednesday. Igor's from Russia, and he is awesome. He's really good with kids. He's a grandmaster chess player, and he now I'm getting pinged with questions and comments from Facebook. I'm sorry if I'm going ADHD on you guys. I'm getting hit up pretty quick here.
If you get a good question, you can answer it if it's pertinent to what we're doing.
Well, let's see. I'll get to that here in a second. But I'm working on a Pokemon League. My Magic the Gathering has also picked up. Those are all CCGs, as you guys know. We're running our first Android Netrunner with Fantasy Flight in February. I'm working with one of my gamers, Kevin. He's hit up Board Game Geeks. That's getting huge hits. Plus, we hit up Google+, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Foursquare, Yelp, Mantra. You name it, we're hitting it up. And I've been amazed. I already make statements occasionally where I've run out of space. I don't have space. I do have slow days. I do have lots and lots of slow days where I'm thinking, oh my God, do I need to close the doors now? But you just have to use everything that you have. You have to trust your customers that they want the best for your store as well, and let them run with it. Give them the ball and let them run with it. I'm not a control freak. I let people do whatever they want. I'm just here to mentor and make sure everybody treats each other right. And if I see something going way off target, I'll step in. But most of the time, people mean well. They're going to do well. They may not do it exactly the way I would do it, but it doesn't matter because I may not be right, and I've had to learn to accept that and it's the enthusiasm that I need to tap into more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that enthusiasm is very important for publishers, for store owners, even for gamers. We all have to jump in with that enthusiasm. We're going to move on to our next point, so I just wanted to let everybody know that you can catch us at d-infinity.net. You can watch the show, if you're watching the show live, make sure to check back each week on Thursday at 8 p.m. We'll be here for you. Next week, we're going to be talking about how to be a frugal gamer, how to play games on the cheap. So make sure to check us out next Thursday, 8 p.m., and just a reminder that on February 7th at a special time at 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, we're going to have legendary game designer Mark Ryan-Hagen, creator of Vampire the Masquerade, and much, much more on the show. We're very glad to have him. But back to our show at hand, we're going to switch topics and talk about women in gaming. We have our first woman on the show. We're very glad to have her. We want to touch base on what it means to be a woman and be a gamer as well. Now, Tiffany, this is obviously a very male-dominated hobby, but over the last, even 10 years, I guess, I've seen a major increase in the number of women involved in the gaming industry, hobbies, and so on. What do you think has changed? Why has this glass ceiling been broke?
You know, I've been asked that a lot, and I honestly think that I can't really pinpoint it. You ask a really good question. I'm sure there's lots of theories out there, but I don't think it's one thing. I think it's a lot of different things happening at once. I know I grew up, and I was always the one or two girls playing. I played Amber, I played Vampire, I played, I never played D&D, by the way. But I played all these others.
Once in a while.
Well,
those are just RPGs, because I know you guys are RPG guys. I'm thinking.
Well, I'm originally a war game guy. I moved into RPGs from war games. Skirmisher Publishing gets its name from our Skirmish miniatures rules that we started developing when I was 14 back in the early 1980s. So I think a lot of us who were into one thing either had our roots in board games or miniatures games or have moved into other things. So
good point, good point.
Very few interesting gamers play only one kind of game.
True, very, very true. And let me leap off of that. I've also played minis, and I've been in tournaments from Warhammer to War Machine to Flames of War, all of that. And my brother has as well, and it was through him that I got into gaming. Mm-hmm. I hate to say it, but I love it that it's a male-dominated world and that I come with surprises. Because when you look at me, I'm a corporate girl. People are shocked. Yes, I play BattleTech too, Brian. That one's for you. So, so I like being able to catch people by surprise a little bit, and it opens up their world as well that women do play, and women don't always look like the gamer guy's girlfriend or the typical gamer girl. We're variety, and I don't think I'm alone in that as a woman. I think other women have tapped into that as well. It's a sense of, look at what I can do in a different world, and then realize, yeah, I'm just one of the guys. It's all good. It's cool. We're here. We're doing the same things. And I'm noticing that with my store, it's more like 40, 60%, 60 leaning towards the male population. And it's cool. It's really, really cool. Comic books and game stores aren't that dark place anymore. There's a lot of spotlights going on. You see it with gaming industries, companies as well. They've brought in family game night. You see it with Hasbro. You see it with Mattel. You see it on the commercials and Target and all of these things. And I think that plays a part of women getting back into the gaming world as well. How many times can I say as well? Anyway, Bonko. Surprisingly enough, Bonko has brought in more school teachers into a gaming atmosphere. I've had a couple of Bonko nights at my store. A blast. But then the women will learn to play these other games because they see them on the shelf. They see other people play them. So it's a bit of a snowball of avalanche kind of thing going on with the women because I think it's more about the families being tapped into more than just the women.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And of course, I've seen lots of women through gaming. My wife is a gamer. I spent many years twisting her over to the dark side. Mike's wife is a gamer. Will's girlfriend is a gamer. I think everybody has women in our lives that are gamers, and I've definitely seen this increase not only in just the women being there and being a part of the community, but being like huge active participants. You're definitely one of those, Tiffany, that has been a very active participant in the gaming community around you, and that's to be commended. Absolutely. Is there a way that we can get more women involved? Is there a specific direction that we can go in to get women into the gaming more?
Clean bathrooms.
Yeah. And that sounds
Seriously.
silly. That sounds silly, but I bet you that would be a big draw.
It's funny. It's those little things because going back to what I grew up with, I go into a game shop funk, floors, cool lighting, and that kind of thing kind of pushed people into being more cliquish. If you're not part of the geeky community, you don't really belong. So I've seen more successful stores have wooden shelving, better lighting, things are fixed and in repair. Activities go on and are organized and put on the schedule. You have not just men running that event, but you have women running that event, or you tag team it with different people. My staff is made up of women and men, and you have to be cognizant of that kind of thing. You say hi to everybody walking in. You don't snob out somebody because they don't know the latest Marvel comic book or the latest Netrunner expansion. You have to bring everybody in. I have an entire shelf for mainstream gaming, party gaming, and you have to welcome those gamers too because they will cross over.
Yeah.
I had something I was wondering if you could comment on, dealing more specifically with role playing. I organize a lot of live action role playing events, and one thing that inevitably happens, we always use pre-made characters. And one thing that inevitably happens is that no matter how many male characters or female characters we have, we will always end up with a different mix of male and female characters. And so inevitably, a character written as a man will eventually be handed to a woman, or a character written as a woman will inevitably be handed to a man. And I try to not be so specific in the characters that it can't be easily tweaked for the player. But something I've noticed is that if I hand a woman a character with a man's name, they'll go, oh, okay, I'll just do this character as a woman. But if I hand a man a character with a woman's name, they're always weirded out. It takes forever to explain to them, no, just reimagine this character as a man. What have you experienced as far as gender roles in role-playing, whether it's with the players themselves or the characters that they're taking on?
William, that's a really interesting perspective of the gaming. I don't experience that a whole bunch, but I don't know if that's because the people that I normally game with don't have issues with it. But I can see, and I've heard situations where it's really difficult for some people to to cross over and play a different gender. I know that happens out there. I hate to say it, but I haven't personally experienced it. Maybe it's the way that it's being presented. Maybe it's instead of taking people off guard, that they're prepared. When you're handing out the character sheets, not you, but you as in general, when you're handing out the character sheets, state you may get a male, you may get a female. Be ready for that and use what you have and enjoy it and have fun, and remind them that this is fun. This is fun. This is something for them to step out of their comfort zone and try something different and use it as something memorable. And I think they may have a lot more fun with it. I don't know. That's a really interesting point. I know it happens a lot. I know it really does. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, it's a pretty common theme to have that, and I don't know if it's necessarily because men are more self-conscious about their gender role rather than a woman would not be as self-conscious about it. So that's interesting. Richard, you had a question along these same lines. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, I was just wondering what you thought in regards to the storytelling aspect of role-playing games, because like saying that it's a very male-dominated hobby for gaming in general. D&D growing out of war games and the like, it kind of carried over that male-dominated culture with it. I was wondering if you thought maybe that had a role to play in bringing more women in, because it's this shared concept rather than it's like everybody for himself, the way most games are designed.
This may be a little bit of new territory with having more women play. I'm serious. The more men and women play together, you're going to see less of that happening. Mm-hmm. I think in the past it's been so much that it's just a group of guys with the one girlfriend that cliche is starting to break down. And I think what you're going to see as people branch out of their normal gaming groups, that doesn't happen as much. You also see storylines that bring in more character development. And I think that's going to help bring in women to be interested in the storyline more than just the action, kill the monster, get the treasure. It's going to always change. You're going to see it change. You're going to have the groups that are always going to be male-dominated. You're also going to have the groups that it's 50-50. You're also going to have the girly gamer groups, like the D20 girls. They're out there playing. So it's going to be interesting to watch. There's not going to be any solid answers about that except to watch to see how it evolves. And it's going to change from store to store to store. I know there's stores local to me that are more male-dominated, but they're more of the war games. Whereas with my store, I incorporate all kinds of different games, so it's more mixed. So you're going to have stores with different personalities as well, and that's not a bad thing. It really isn't.
You just spoke of something about how boyfriends would bring their girlfriend to the gaming group. I had in my last tabletop role-playing game group, I had a girl bring her boyfriend into the group.
I love that.
It was completely opposite, and it was the first time that had ever happened to me, so that made me real happy. Well, we're getting right towards the end of the show, so I want to thank Tiffany Franzoni from Roll2Play Games. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight, Tiffany. We really appreciate it. We're glad to have your insight, and we look forward to having you on again in the future. So we're going to go to our last word tonight. Richard, you get the first last word this evening. What is your last word, sir?
Keep playing. If nothing else, from week to week, one thing that I think people need to do more of is play more games and socialize with their friends. I don't care if it's casual gaming, rolling the dice for characters, whatever. Just keep playing.
Keep playing. All right, Mike, what about you, sir? What's your last word for the evening?
My last word is I woke up the other morning dreaming about something from the Swords of Coast fantasy campaign setting encounter table I had created the night before. So I am completely immersed in developing our fantasy campaign setting. If I can make it come alive in the minds of our readers to the extent that it is just rattling around in my mind, then it's going to be a great campaign setting. So that's what I'm working on, and we're still on track to have that out. PDF in April, in print in May for Comic Palooza.
Great. And Will, what's your last word for the evening?
My last word, I just wanted to give a shout out to listener and viewer Lucas Perrier. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. He actually had just talking back to what we had talked about with gender roles within role-playing games, he just dropped a tip that when he does play tests and demos, he has 2 sets of all the characters. One set where the pre-made characters are all male, and one set where the pre-made characters are all female. He can just mix and match based on his player base.
Oh, that's a really good idea. Thanks for the comment, Lucas. It's very much appreciated. My last word is just to thank Tiffany again for coming on the show. Next week at 8 p.m. Central Time, we're going to be talking about how to be a frugal gamer, how to game on the cheap. So make sure and come back with us next week at 8 p.m. The following week, we're going to have Chris Van Deelen from Skirmisher, who writes Wisdom from the Wastelands, along with another gentleman named Derek Holland. We're going to have Chris on the show. He's going to talk about his recent trip to Southeast Asia and talk about post-apocalyptic stuff, talk about mutant future, talk about lots of stuff. So make sure to tune in next week and the following and every Thursday afterwards to get the Infinity Live. My name is Robert Groover, and on behalf of Michael Varhola, Richard Balsley, William Thrasher, our special guest, Tiffany Franzoni, my name once again is Robert Groover. Thank you so much, and good night.